Hey guys, thanks for joining me. And if you like what you see, please subscribe.
Hello, peoples. Welcome to Sharp Ends. I am really impressed with this acorn so far, and I'm going to do the full review treatment on it, which means that I need to do a disassembly and put it back together again. This is a really sweet knife. Comes in at around $50, I believe. 114C 28N, which is a great knife for anything less than $75. Probably the best knife steel that you can get at that price point. Uh, Really nice front flipper action, flicks open very nicely. The thumb doesn't work as much for me, but the front flipper action is perfect. And I don't like front flippers in general, but it works really well. And the ergos are great. Lots of good access to this liner lock. I will do a full review of this, so I'm not going to go into all of it. But we're going to go ahead and take this apart. Before I do, I would love for you to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, especially the comments. Okay, so this all seems to be, what are we? T8. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to start to take this apart, and it looks like we've got a lanyard hole, which is adding some stability back here, and then we've got one back spacer back here, and the pocket clip does not need to come off at all, although it is reversible, which is very nice. This micarta, by the way, feels amazing. It's really, really nice. And it's nested liners in there too. So I'm going to take off this back spacer and the pivot, and we're going to go to high speed mode while I do this, and then we'll take a look at the inside together. All right, warp speed. Okay, and we're back. So I should have said when I opened this, the knife was perfectly centered. There was no detent lash or pivot lash. As we can see, it's a nice nested liner. I'd also like to point out that the pivot screw is like a custom pivot screw with this colorization on it, this bronzing of it or coppering of it, which I really appreciate. It's nice and big, and it's a locking nut on the other side here. So that's nested in either to the frame, which we'll see in a minute, or yeah, it looks like it's actually nested into the micarta. So you got to be careful that you get that correctly done when you take it apart. This is on bearings. As usual, there's no gunk or grime in there, which I'm kind of surprised about because I have been using this a lot. By the way, if you're curious about any of the tools that I'm using, all of them can be found linked below in the description of this video. So I'm going to clean this off now. You can see where the detent ball has made a little bit of a groove, and you can see actually where the this coating here, I'm not sure if it's true DLC or not, but you know, it looks a lot like DLC. I would assume it is, or some version of that. So very clean inside still. The nesting is done very well. The machining on this is done very well. I really appreciate how they've done the jimping on this nested lock here, and how they've excavated a little bit more of the micarta on the other side to give you nice access to that lock. Makes it very easy to use. This is a highly recommendable knife. Really, really nice. I'm just really, this is also, by the way, the first Vosteed I think I've ever gotten. So that's really cool. The back, the pillar here on the back is to keep the blade from going back and to help lock it in. I'll need to make sure that that goes in when I put it back together again. Sometimes I forget. So I'm just cleaning up all of these guys, and then I will go into warp speed. I will oil this up, and I will do a final thoughts on this. I'm just going to clean this up, and then I'm going to oil it and start to put it back together again. So yeah, overall, I'm impressed with the way that this is made and how it's put together. It's super simple, efficient, good engineering, just all the way around very good. I'm going to use some knife pivot lube on this. Sometimes I use Hops number 10 gun lube, but for this guy, I'm just going to use a little bit of knife pivot lube here. This will be the knife that I give away during my next Patreon giveaway. So if you're interested in getting a chance to win this, down below there's a link. All you've got to do is follow it to the Patreon site, and for $3 a month, you too can be entered to win a knife of the month. I'm not going to put any oil on the lock face that will cause lock stick. And I'm not going to use any oil on the detent ball because that can cause some pivot lash or, just gunk up things and just make it stick a little bit more. And mess with the detent. And the detent is absolutely perfect on this knife. I call it medium high, which is my favorite kind of detent. Am I forgetting anything now? It's all there. So super, super easy to take apart and put together. Again, another good reason for putting it for recommending this knife. I guess I'm not going to go to warp speed because it's so easy to take apart and put back together again that I'm not going to worry about it. I'm also not going to worry about putting on Loctite on this. I also really appreciate that they have, when it was sent to me, it was sent so well dialed in with the detent and everything. Usually you have to play with the pivot to get it to work perfectly. Either it's, the pivot's too tight usually when a knife company sends it to you, letting it loosen up a little bit as you use it. But this was just dialed in perfectly. And putting it back together again, it is pretty much exactly centered. And I'm just going to go ahead and tighten that up just a little bit more and check out the centerness of it. Perfectly centered there. Pretty darn good. And then, I need to flick it and open it several times to get the grease running in there. There was really no grease to speak of in there, so it's a good thing that I open it up and put a little grease in there. Hopefully I didn't put too much, otherwise it's just going to catch a lot of gunk and dirt. So you really want to be very gentle with the amount of grease you put in there. I probably put in too much, honestly, but it's starting to really sing open now. Look at that. And let's look at the action as far as it dropping shut. You have to use a little bit of TLC to get it to drop nicely, but it's not the worst I've ever seen. And for a $50 knife, it's great. The geometry on this is great. Yeah. Okay. So I think I'm ready to review this now. I think that this is impeccably made. I really, really like almost all aspects of it. The bent deep pocket carry clip here is, it's almost a little bit too long. Could be just a little bit shorter, but it's not the worst I've ever seen. It's nice and strong, fits there, and I really appreciate the fact that it's reversible. That is very nice. And like I said, this micarta feels absolutely amazing in the hand. I like this jimping on top, and I love the choke up point. All right, what do you guys think about this knife? I'd really like your comments. If you have other Vosteed knives you think I should check out, please let me know in the comments below. I take your recommendations seriously, and I will try to get it. So yeah, thanks so much, guys, for joining me today. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It really helps out the channel. And like I said, if you want a chance to win this knife or any knife that I give out once a month to my Patreon subscribers, follow the link down below. For $3 a month, you too get a chance to win a knife. So thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you guys next time on Sharp Ends. Bye-bye now.